Hello, welcome back to another episode of I Would Like to Have a Conversation. And this is episode 22. And in this episode, I brought Todd back on. So Todd's been obviously coming every week. So we've done tons of episodes together now. And I also brought my mate Rick, who I'm starting the Space Builders company with. And we talked about a summit that I did on the weekend. Remember when I was downstairs doing the summit for 2 days? Okay, let's get that a second. Basically, how it went, what everyone got out of it, and basically why it was the best summit no one ever knew. What's going on today? What are we doing later?
We're going to Little Athletics on two friends that I know.
Yeah, how many you seen there?
Three friends that are at my school.
Yeah, that'd be cool, wouldn't it?
I have one friend that's at my school, and one friend that's used to be at my school.
We're getting money for the canteen.
Maybe. You want to say goodbye?
Bye.
All right, see you guys.
I'm here with Todd again, and I've also got Rick on today, and we just have a bit of a round table discussion about, I joke about this with Rick, the greatest that no one ever knew about, which we just put a summit on the weekend. There was lots of really good things that happened, and some stuff they're not so good, which we just got to sort of riff on. But I'll go first. I think it was fun. That was one thing I would take away. It was big days, Sunday my time, so it went from 9 till 3, and then Monday my time and down till 7 a.m. So staying up for that and just watching it go through and just being available in case anything happened. Nothing happened, but just to keep being available in case those questions and things come through. It was kind of a wild ride, and for me, it was a tick off the bucket list. I remember when summits were huge for ages. I was like, this would be cool to put one day. And then they kind of died down. Hadn't seen a summit in a long time, especially in the crew that I used to go watch them all with. It was just cool to do another one with you, Rich, which was awesome.
Yeah, brother. Like Alan's saying, I would not have dared to do this and not been for you. And definitely mixed emotion. This was 100+ days of work. You see, you're doing it out, and I know it was a massive experience for me emotionally. This was like the capstone of it all. It was like the graduation, walking the line. And I think the big thing that I took away from this whole experience was, kind of in a nutshell, it was around holding the frame and surrendering the outcome. And so we really were going into this summit not knowing there was so many questions we had, or so many questions I had, so many uncertainties. And I think when we got back the numbers from the summit, I felt way better. I think we had at least 5,300 people attend live. So really the goal for me was to create a platform, create an opportunity for my friends, my mentors, the men I respect in my life, a way to share something on their heart to hopefully an audience of people, and promote something close to theirs. And I feel like to some extent it was accomplished. I feel very proud of the men involved and what they brought to the summit. There was definitely things that we were either on the promotion side. The building it out was one thing. The promotion was a totally different thing. And so it's almost like two different experiences. And so overall, was that this past weekend was a roller coaster because there was so much uncertainty. But on the other hand, on the other side of that, like, man, this is our first one. We've never really done this before. And I feel like the product we created, the experience we created, like, I'm very proud of it. I feel very grateful for the trust and the audience. Like, they don't know us. Like, at least 5,000 of them supposedly showed up, and so it was definitely a weekend of mixed emotion, but on the other side is yeah, like checking that box. We got one under our belt. Now we can just iterate and get better. We have data. We know what we can do better for the next one. And then also, um, perhaps like we have a couple thousand people who never heard of us now know about us. So it really is like perspective on the sense making on this side. But brother, like so much love to you for getting the back end, making things connected right where we could connect them. And
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a story.
but,
So
but and then really just for facilitating the whole thing, being a part of our journey. Like I think we shared before, like this is our expedition. This whole thing with Space Builders, building up the summit, launching Space Builders with the summit is just a beginning of our adventure. And man, like I could not think of a better man, a better father, a better brother to go experience with. So
thanks, man.
very grateful, brother. Very
I
grateful.
agree. Ditto. The
Mm.
I don't know how we want to play this out, but Todd, do you have any questions around it straight up off the bat?
Well, I was thinking to provide a little bit of context for all our listeners in regards to like what it was, what your like intentions was with it, so that way they can have an understanding, and then as we give the audience that be able to ask questions based off of what you had shared.
Yeah. So I think so the summit was for dads or for men. Originally it was for men, and we kind of sort of moved in towards dads because this is who we are. And like Rick said, it was like, and Rick was like the network master with this. He connected with all these guys, got them organized to do their talks, and brought them in. And all the talks were amazing. Like it was cool listening to them on. Yeah. So it was like pull all these guys together, just let them share something that they felt like they needed to share. Like they maybe didn't have an avenue or a space or a place to do that publicly before or not, but a place where they could share something that means something to them that they wish they could talk about. Kind of like what this podcast is. Like just wanted to get it out there and start a conversation. So like Rick said, having a platform for those guys to do it, which is cool. And then for us as like a business sense, it was to launch Space Builders and to get eyes on our stuff. And it was meant to be like this, I guess, hack, so to speak, of like, we're launching, no one knows anything about us. How can we get people to hear about us straight away? And the summit was like a kind of a cool way of doing it. And we're like, that will just get us a lot of eyes really quickly, and we can kind of grow from there and then do more summits and kind of build it up that way. And that was what we wanted out of it. So summit for men or dads, where they can basically have the conversations that no one's really wanting to have.
Mm.
That's what we wanted it to be. Like it's deep, which it was. It was perfect. It did exactly everything in that sense what we wanted to do. It was on the business sense because I'm a data-driven guy. You know what I'm like, Todd. The data side of things on the back end in my head was like it didn't click. And I've got theories of why, but yeah. What do you think? Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, it is. We learn from our mistakes. And so this was a hard learning lesson in some ways, definitely. So it served that purpose to teach. Like again, we've never done one before. And the idea really was just to get my friends, eyes on my friends, eyes on my mentors, give them just more reach, create a
Which I think
platform
it
for
did
them.
really well in that sense. Like,
Yeah.
because this stuff, like, it's not something we're just done with it. We're going to keep telling people about it and letting people know that it's there. And then, which is the cool part, it's now like this, like Rick says, like, it's a really nice product, service that we can still talk about and people can buy if they want to catch all the replays, which is cool. And that's where my head goes, is like, all right, how do we get people to know about it? Like, it's a really good thing. It's like the whole marketing thing. Do a really good job, which I reckon we did. And now we just got to tell everybody about it, which is just a part of marketing, which we did do a good job of that. That's why I keep joking that I guess the greatest summit no one knew about.
No, I get it, bro. Like we did, I think the biggest lesson on the business side is that we did it backwards, right? One of the big learnings was create the audience first and then build the summit for that audience. This is get feedback from them, what they want to hear, what they want to see, who do they want to see. So we'll definitely big lesson, or we'll definitely do that differently.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what were some of the common themes or threads throughout the shares?
Yeah. It's kind of like, for me, if I put it into like a phrase, it'd be like letting go of the shadow. A lot of it was that, like, a letting go of the shadow stuff and getting in alignment with, I know it's a wanky term because it's used too much, but whatever the best version of you is. So a lot of the talks were realignment, really, how to let go of that stuff and keep moving forward with the way you want to move forward and show up the way you want to show up. A lot of them aligned in with that kind of theme for me, which is nearly 14 different ways it was talked about, which is cool. That's what I thought was really cool. There's 14 different ways you can get the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. It's all, we're all, I guess, approximations, certain distances away from our authentic selves. And I think the goal for a lot of the speakers was sharing their experiences, providing tools and tips from their learning on how just to be more authentic, more truthful, more congruent, and more aligned. And for us, that fits in directly with the hero's journey, what we want to build or have built to some extent, but want to share now with other men on their journey, other fathers on their journey. Shadow work is real. It's super useful. It's relevant, I think, because as you're able to stop running away from the things you've been running from, or I've been running from, and able to stay in those states of uncomfortableness in your body, it really isn't that bad. The things that are big, they're not so big. But I think we do that in community. We help each other carry those big things. And in doing so, we make them smaller for each other. So it is like a community endeavor. It is a co-created rebuilding of the self. And like this whole thing, the speakers were just as much of a part of it, an important part of it, as the structure that we created, the platform we set up. It is, it's something that we built together. And so super grateful for Real Life.
It's kind of interesting, this theme across all the talks was the shit that Rick and I went through building it. I was thinking, like, if we did this almost a year ago, 18 months ago, I would have just lit a
Yeah.
fire and burned it down.
What a
'Cause it
cave.
was such a challenge to get it together, doing all the different things and the amount of different pivots we had on the way through. And I think, man, it's just a testament to the stuff we've been through the last 2 years, and then the groups we've hung out in, Rick and I, and the stuff I've talked with you, Todd, like the shadow self, the bound nature, all that kind of stuff, and the free nature. That all that stuff is like, it's sort of listening to talks. It was like, yeah, we literally just went through all those ups and downs the whole way through. And it's kind of cool, which is why I wanted to do this talk, where it's like people will pick a goal and go for it and come up against a shitstorm of stuff. It's like kind of a given. Like if you go into it knowing that, you got a better toolbox. But yeah, like the ups and downs and everything, like if you think like a fat loss journey, it's the same thing. Or a health and fitness journey. We just did it in a sense of creating this summit to launch a business. And yeah, it was interesting seeing the talks across the weekend, and then like our journey on the way to get to the summit. All was about like that letting go, basically letting go of expectation. That was the big one. We just kept going back to it. The whole 1,200 odd days we've been working on it. It was like everyone would tell us these big audacious goals that we could get. And we were like, in my head, I just kept going back to like, that sounds cool. I'm just going to do the work. Like just showing up and do the work. And then just look at the data when it comes. But yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. Good. Just touching on that, Chris, you are definitely a grounding force. Not a force, but a second of gravity.
Well, get you grounded. No.
Yeah, brother. No, it was important. I think the speakers, allowed or captured definitely parts of the journey. The ups and the downs, the reason, the purpose for doing it. The bigger goal was really to create something of value to share. I think all the speakers definitely did that, but it was our goal. I think capacity wise, we built something that we're proud of, that we gave freely. I think that is one of the lessons in life, is that as there's a generative capacity within us now to create and to give without expectation of return to some extent, but maybe perhaps more of a surrender of the outcome. If you put it out there to be seen, not everybody is going to receive it, but hopefully those who do receive it, they find value, they find maybe different conversations or questions that they've either haven't asked or thought to ask before, or are now maybe more courageous to ask of themselves. So,
There's a couple things inside of what you said, Rick. One is I think part of it is like planting a seed, right? There are going to be people all along the continuum, if you will, and some people are going to resonate with someone's story, or something's just going to plant a seed. I often, whether it's in the office or just in certain exchanges, I never know if I'm going to meet somebody again, but if I can plant a seed for somebody, and vice versa. There's oftentimes like, I feel like, I'm receiving because I'm open to it, and I see somebody and I'm like, hey, I can learn from them, whether they're there to teach me or not, or intentionally teaching me. And at the same time, the other thing I wanted to share was, you had said something earlier that made me think of like the Ram Dass quote of like, we're all just walking each other home.
oh yeah,
And to me, that's like, I often think about that, with the same intention in mind. Like if I can plant that seed, I can hopefully help them take that next step towards, their perfect average day, or, in more alignment. And I think that's really cool that you got that from all of that, because I truly believe that's what we're here for. And again, you gotta be going to be in that reception mode, and be curious about those things. But if you are, there's signs and there's opportunities everywhere to, to be able to do that. So, and you guys just created another one for dads.
Hopefully. the Yeah, it's pretty interesting. The way it kind of played out. So let's look at that. Like, I'm a data guy, so let's look at this. So the whole idea was to get eyes on space builders. That was the goal, which was we were hoping for. It was like launching the name, magnetically pull people to our space builders socials. And so this is the reason why I bring this up, because this is in my head, this is a big hiccup. And we worked through it. We had Rick and I jumped on Zoom for nearly the whole day on Sunday and just ranted at each other. By the time we'll get to the end, it's further calm down. So what happened was, we promoted it to say that it was going to be live on all our socials, all the Space Builder socials. The only social it went live on was one. It was YouTube, which it was a technical issue. They could not put it on the other socials, the crew that was doing it for us. And it's not their fault. This is the whole thing with the launch and everything. It was a storm of miscommunication, missteps, all this kind of stuff. But we didn't know until the day. So we've been telling everybody it was going to be live on every social. And it was on YouTube only. And then we had to hack it. So it ended up streaming live on Rick's X or Twitter account. So then we used that to share to the Space Builders thing. And then it was live on the company that helped put it live on their social media. And then we could share it to the other pages. So we kind of hacked it through, which is why it's kind of funny, which is why I kind of let go of the issue a little bit, because I was like, no one really saw it anyway. So 5,000 people did, according to the data, but the whole idea was to pull people towards Space Builders. And what ended up happening was we shared stuff on Space Builders that pulled people away. Mm-hmm. So it was the opposite of what needed to happen. But the thing for me was once it happened, I got a little ranty, Rick was just understand questions in the Zooms. And then, because it was the expectation thing. I was this is what I expected would happen today. And it was the total opposite. And this is why I wanted to bring it up, because it's when you have that disconnect from expectation to reality is where that friction and that fight response sort of comes in. Yeah. And that was my thing, which is what come up, which is if you look at everything, good or bad stuff, when you do something like a big project like this, whether it's on yourself or something else, and whatever you expect doesn't happen. It's what's the learning tool from that? And mine was don't put expectations on someone else that they actually don't even know. that's my big learning response was for me, the clarity probably wasn't there. I didn't tell somebody the actual vision of the thing in my head, which is what always I feel, which is why I wanted to bring this up, was when most people's expectations clash with everyone else's expectations, it's because they just don't know other people's expectations. Yeah. I just said expectations a lot. That was a big thing for me that I've come over the weekend. And I say it a lot too when I coach people. It is when I coach the coaches to help other coaches, which sounds absolutely ridiculous. Having you put the expectations on the table so everyone knows where they stand. And I didn't do it in this summit. Some things we did, but there was things that were in my head, but I didn't share. I didn't know until the accident happened.
I think, Chris, I think I understood that. There was some disconnect, or there's still things that were trying to figure out why that actually happened. Why weren't we told about that from the beginning? Maybe we were, maybe we missed it. But yeah, brother, I feel responsible for that. And I am responsible for that at the very end. I mean, this is my thing. So I'm totally responsible for that. So I carry that. And we're still here, brother. Like,
Yeah.
you're still here. And I'm super grateful for that. Because these are things that end business partnerships. These are things that end relationships, end friendships over, right? The expectations unsaid or misunderstood can easily lead to gaps in your relationship,
Mm.
well, walls, separation. And at the end of the day, I really wanted to see who do I need to be to do this? And then at the end of the finish line, who will I become? And I think us being in partnership to build this out, rather, I think you showed your ability to go through something very difficult, uh, heart wrenching, emotionally difficult, expectation wise, and rather you're still here. So I feel super grateful for you and your capacity to hold frustration, hold the opposites, right? You're able to hold
Mm.
opposites in the same time, be frustrated, disappointed, upset, and yet rather like we're still talking. So if anything, man, like maybe that is the most beautiful part of this whole adventure. Now we get to see that early on, man. Like we get to see who we are in conflict, and had it gone like perfectly well, like to like the high expectation we had, bro, we would have never seen this, and it would have blown up
Yeah.
more spectacularly, man. Right?
It's kind of like what they say when businessy guru type of people, where it's like go into partnership with people that, like for a better word, fucked up before,
Oh, bro,
like how they handle
that's me.
setbacks. That's what we joke about. This the reason why
Oh,
we're partnering up is because we're both fucked up
yeah,
many times. We're
exactly.
like because we were still. So this is cool. So when we started, people won't listen to. We had a moment of like, holy shit, like let's go back to the cave, which is the analogy that we both use of like running away. This is scary as fuck. I don't want to do this. I don't want to stuff up again, which is the bound nature story stuff. So we talked about this on the potty a few times. Todd and I have talked about it. And both of our bound nature stuff is like, well, mine is like burn shit down. And it was an early part in what we were doing. When the thoughts of that were coming up again. And we had like the week we play it like this. And the only reason I'm sharing is because I reckon other people go through this with something else they do.
Yeah.
We would have a call early in the week to get stuff organized for the summit. And then by the time the weekend comes around, everything blew up. Everything's just gone haywire. We have to make another pivot because of something that someone said. It happened for like 3-4 weeks in a row. And I got to the point where I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like it kind of got that feeling come into me. And yeah, it was crazy. And we were so we were like, Rick and I were talking to each other. We were both saying like, and the main thing was when it came was like the financial setup and stuff like that. Which we were both
That
just
one.
like, that was the one that hit us. We both just like,
Very
had it.
early.
Yeah, it was like 2 to 3 days. We just felt like absolute shit. But we weren't sharing it yet. And then we jumped in we've got a Telegram chat that we talk to each other like every day. And in that chat, we both sort of shared, we were like, hey, so this money talk, it's making me feel real shit. And then, I can't remember who said it first, but then the other one was just like, yeah, I'm the same. Yeah. And it kind of, we kept going backwards and forwards and we kind of come around to the idea of like, because it's like all the past hiccups we've had were just coming up, and our brain was trying to protect it. And it was the one thing we said that just kind of smoothed it out and made it really calm was like, we just get to do it the right way this time. And it just took this huge, like the pressure was really high. Like even Kat was looking at me, he's like, do you think you should keep going on with this? Like don't look good. And yeah, it was like, I had to journal a lot of it. And then like, why is it going to work this time? And we just kept journaling that. Why is it going to work? Why is it going to work? Why is it going to work? Just collecting proof. And then it was just like, we just get to do it the right way this time. And the only reason I wanted to bring that up is when those responses come in for people, whatever thing you kind of build or doing, that shit's going to come up. It's a given. It's your brain. It's your story. You like have to get it down on paper and then collect proof, which is like asking the why questions on why it's not true. Because it's only going to be true if the story stays true. So we changed our story in that moment. And it's literally was like a line in the sand from that moving forward. Everything was like way calmer in my eyes. I don't know what you feel like.
Well, that was a hard conversation and it happened pretty early. And again, it's perfect. The timing of everything has been very excellent in that way, and that we get to see things in ourselves from our past, and we get to make different choices, collect evidence, and more evidence you have, more confident you can be in the data, the evidence that you collected in time. And if you collect enough evidence, there's reason to be confident. But yeah, around the money thing, it's such a personal, it's a very intimate subject for some reason, right? And yet it doesn't have to be, but it is. And it is, there's so many wounds for us, or for me, around betrayal, around money, arguments growing up with my parents. There's just stories that we don't fully understand where they come from, but I think most of them come from our childhood growing up. And we cannot help but live those past experiences from our body, because our body remembers all these hard, difficult, and uncomfortable situations that the context and the content, to some extent, definitely, but the context that gets trapped in our bodies. And we don't process that somehow, either getting it on paper, speaking it out, processing it we just plays on repeat. And this is a great opportunity for me. Enter in with an open heart to something that I have memories, felt experiences of tragedy and betrayal, and do it with you, brother. And go through that in an open and transparent way. Didn't feel good. I mean, I think to some extent it still doesn't feel good, but it's there, right? We now have evidence that we can go through these kind of conversations, and it's, to some extent it's safe. It's not something that we need to keep running away from. It's something that we can sit ourselves still in that way and go through it with somebody who has our best interests in mind, who is safe in that way with us. And it takes capacity, man. It takes emotional capacity to do that. And going back to what we want to build, it is around building capacity. It's around building space within ourselves to have these kind of conversations that so rightfully shared, Chris, like that nobody wants to have. Like, if I could go through life without having these conversations, perhaps I would do that. But again, it is around. I don't think we're ever meant to be balanced, because it's in the finding of our center of gravity that we learn these lessons. It is in the difficulties of our life that we get to see who we are in real time, who will show up in this situation, with this particular person or within myself, with what I'm processing in my head, like I get to see who's going to show up for that. Or it is almost like there is, well, it's a separation between um, who we think we are and who we should be, and it's a separation between um, the truth that we know in our heart versus what we feel in our body. And if we can create, I think part of this whole thing is that we're creating that gap between the stimulus and response,
Yeah.
the stimulus and reaction. We can create those gaps between, we can potentially make a different story. We can rewrite the stories that we've lived out up to that point. We can change the narrative in our mind, and we can live differently from there. And I think, though, the difference between my past and what we're building here is like, I'm doing that in real time with you, Chris. I'm doing that with somebody else that is just as sort of frail and just
Yeah.
as vulnerable
Yeah.
and just as, very similar human experience, that I can see you going through the show I'm going through, and yet you're still showing up. And so it's like, I can show up too. I can do this. I'm not doing it by myself. I no longer need to play out a story that exists in a loop. And I get to have somebody input their um, their capacity to hold space into that story. And when I do that, you break the loop and you create space for
Yeah.
another story, another life, another lifetime, right? So very grateful, man. Like there's so many layers, bro. We just whole experience. Yeah. That's why this is our adventure, man. This is we were built for adventure. And yes, we talk about the physical aspects of that journey, but it's very much about like building these muscles, emotionality that I think we talked about. Like it's not stuff that we were taught as children from our parents, how to hold this kind of capacity in space. But this is exactly what I need as a father, as a man. I need to exercise these muscles. And so this is the way, this is our gym in that sense. This is our CrossFit. Like, this is the journey.
No.
I love it. Well, I just wanted to acknowledge I wasn't like a part of this for our millions of listeners, but I just wanted to acknowledge that like this conversation in of itself is the microcosm of what you're trying to share with the world, is that you're here confronting these things. You're also sharing with whoever is here willing to listen and sharing with me. And I feel grateful for having just like listen to you guys getting on like a day after this took place, and you're willing to confront these things. And clearly there's stuff that's gone on that, we all don't know about the depths of, that you guys can, chuckle about, you can look at, and you're still learning. You can see as you communicate, you're still processing all this. And I think that's the message, I think with space builders and with dads, and even the people that I want to work with other dads and stuff like that, is like what, the reason why space builders exists is because we can learn from each other. And like you said, Rick, like learn to build that capacity. And, that's why, I've been so, drawn to Chris because of the space that he's held for me. I mean, one of the most, pivotal points in my life was, transitioning out of actually online coaching and then back into my office and turning my office into what it is that I want, and moving me closer to my, perfect average day. Cause when we first started talking about this, I still thought he was crazy. Like, cause in my mind, I had all of this stuff of my own to work through. And it's just like not seeing you two guys be able to communicate this, be open about it. And I'm sure there's more in-depth talks taking place outside of this. But again, just going back to the idea that you're here, you're talking about it. And, And the other thing I wanted to acknowledge is that you guys did create something. And when
Mhm.
you're curious, you're going to go out and try new things, and with hopefully, but with the intention to learn and build capacity for it. Because guess what? Those who go out and get curious and don't learn, they're just going to repeat it, like you had said. And that's an all there's judgment here, but that's an awful place to be, is when you're just repeating things over and over again. And then you're looking at the world going, why me? Right. And then you become
Yeah.
a victim.
Yeah.
But here you have the opportunity of like, you're just, yeah, you're building that capacity and asking yourself, okay, how can I grow more? Because hopefully people see that what you guys want to do is create the space. That this isn't just about you, this is bigger than that. And that's really cool to see.
Mm.
You're very kind, Todd. I think you did touch on something, man. Like we're we're just dads, man. Like we are on this journey, and we don't have it all figured out. But we don't need to, and I don't think we'll ever will have it all figured out. But that's the whole thing: is be curious, to show up in spaces where, man, we don't know what's going to show up. Um, I think the the blessing of this whole thing is that, uh, whether through fate or circumstance, Chris and I we got partnered up to do this, and it really makes a difference on who you are with on this journey, and we're not, um, again, like, we don't have all the answers. We have our frameworks, we have the course that Chris created, we have ourselves showing up and holding space for each other, for others. We have capacity, we want to give. But at the end of the day, it is like, we can't do the work for you. We can only do the work for ourselves, within ourselves. But we can have those conversations, and we want to have those conversations about, like, why aren't you showing up? Or why is this uncomfortable? Or why is this pattern playing out over and over and over again? And let's just talk about it, man. Let's just hold space for that. There's nothing to fix. You just need to understand. And our invitation is very simple. Like we talked
Mhm.
about, like, we're going this way. Like, wanna come?
Mm.
And it's super simple as that. And there's nothing more, I think, that's that we provide, is that space or that curiosity and that invitation. Um, Come join. Let's see, let's explore. Um, let's see what shows up. We should go forward together.
I like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Was It's something sort of, yeah, it was like, it hit me in a song. It's just Rick just dropped a mic bomb. So
Yeah.
it's like, it was there, just like a boom.
Yeah, yeah.
I know with the stuff that we were talking about before we went live, yeah, what you just encapsulated is ultimately what each one of those things have done. And the purpose of that is,
Mm.
here's an invitation, come explore, get curious. And, yeah, again, there's to be reminded that there's nothing to fix, but just an opportunity to learn and maybe grow is the wrong word, but, um,
Mm.
yeah, but to keep learning, because I truly think that that's what we're here for. And whether you believe in like reincarnation and things like that, but yeah, I think we're here to learn, and we're here to, like you said, hold space and walk each other home. And I think that's a big thing.
I think that's it's come back to me. So thanks, Todd. You sort of
Yeah.
triggered it, where it was like, you like nailed it. I'd say like the whole concept around everything that we're trying to do is to help people to feel good at whatever journey they're on, whatever adventure they're going on. So it's like letting go of the past and just putting it on a shelf. Like, I see you, but just go sit over there. Not looking too far forward into the future and expecting these things that we might not have any control over. So it's like coming into the now, be present and feeling good and confident that you got the tools. You have the shit. to get through it, whatever it is, and reframing, realigning whatever's happening into a better perspective, which I think, which is why I really wanted to do this chat straight afterwards. It was in my head the whole time, like realigning and reframing, which is what we've done during it. And straight afterwards, we've just realigned and reframed it to something that makes us feel good about it. Like, yes, shit things happen. It will always happen. It's just how you perceive that thing is the way it will play out in your life, which is what we've like literally what we wanted, what we want space builders to be, which is what Rick said, the capacity, having that space to sort of sit and look at stuff and go, oh yeah, but what's the truth? What's the real truth? And using that as a tool, like BG, Brian Grasso, hits me on this all the time. Every time I talk to him. It's like one job, Chris, is just to make yourself feel good. And then pass those tools on to other people. It was like,
Yeah.
It is that capacity to self-regulate our emotion within our own self. And I think once we have that ability to do that for ourselves and we can give that to others, it is such a gift because there are massive, long spans of my life that I didn't have that. I did not have the capacity to make myself come back to baseline, come back to a sense of peace and safety. And I know what living like that day in, day out for years at a time and how it influences my relationship with family, the people I love, and how painful it is to see that playing out and not being able to do anything about it. At least it felt that way. But then on the other side of that, it's that pretty much felt regret, basically, that I lived this way for so long, that I hurt the people that I love the most. And there are tools out there that I was not aware of. There were ways of being, there were conversations to be had that would allow me to be in my body in a way that felt good, that felt peace, that I did not need to keep running and hurting the people that I love. Hurt people. And I was very hurt to know I was hurting a lot of people in my life. So there is that felt, lived experience of regret that is a fuel now to like live a different way. I'm on the back half of my life and I'm seeing, man, the first half went kind of abysmal on so many different levels. But now I get to give. Now I have something of value to give other men. I have something of value to give other people. Now let's find a way to do that in a way that people can understand and receive. How can we do that in a way that we can sustain ourselves and our families and live that perfect average day in a way that is like giving for others? I think we have that in Space Builders. I think we have the frameworks again and the way of sharing it in not just to feel good in the moment, but to take actions and to be to show up on a consistent basis that it actually leads to real change, like maybe not permanent change, but lasting long-term change. So we're not chasing those dopamine hits. We're not chasing that next big experience. Man, the ordinary, the finality, the average day in life is perfect. It's beautiful. It's exactly how I want to live, man. This is like, I'm at peace. There's nothing. There's nothing to fear. There's no enemies out there that I fight anymore. And man, putting down the sword, putting down the shield, like there's nothing better than that to live from that space. Because instead of fighting, now I can give. there's life here.
Be of service.
Yeah, it's such a different place to live from. So different.
I feel like that like wraps it up.
Yeah.
I mean, that was beautiful. It is. It's like, you know, we have so much armor around our heart.
So good, brother.
And when we, you know, we may have hurt people and ourselves, and it takes massive forgiveness to be able to move for ourselves, and hopefully those that we did hurt can feel that. And then when we can move through that, on the other side is that being of service, because and to thank what you did go through, because this is what brought us all here. Without those, you know, without those experiences, we wouldn't be us. And that's what makes it so beautiful in and of itself. Because now I can share that. And and I'm sure that's what Space Builders is all about, is like, hey, here's my story. You may not have the same story, but you have a similar story, because we all do. And if you can take from my story what I'm actually trying to share, the teachings are all there, you know.
Yeah, agreed.
Ditto.
But
You know.
you got it. Yeah, beautiful.
That was awesome. Great chat. It was good to get you guys together too, because we've been trying to
Yeah.
do this for a while. That was awesome. So yeah,
Thank you.
like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Go check out our super
Greatest
awesome
summit.
landing page we created.
Greatest
Summit.
someone known knew about.
Go to Summit no one knew about. We should actually just pivot the name and just call it that. Go check it out. We're going to start sharing snippets from the talks on our socials, so go follow us on Space Builder socials. And we're going to launch the coaching offer. That's going to probably launch in about a week. So if you are interested in having these conversations and you want to create capacity in your life, be built for adventure, be the man, build your perfect average day, reach out. We just want to chat. If it makes sense, we'll work together. If it doesn't, it's all cool. Yeah, just touch base. Same with Todd. Todd's an awesome coach. Reach out to Todd. We all love a chat. So reach out to us and let us know what you're up to, what you're working towards, what's your struggle. And we'll help you try and smoothly get through those struggles. Anything you want to sign off with, Rick?
I'm grateful for you, Chris. The man you are. Yeah. The example you've been for me. I could not have built this without you, brother. Thank you.
Right back at you, dude. And Todd, anything you want to sign off with?
I'm good. That was great.
All right. See you all next week. Bye. That was awesome, dudes. That was cool.
Thank you, brother.